Okay, and the jury is now hearing the beginning of those jury instructions. They're in the courtroom and court is in session. Catherine, coming back to that post this morning from Trump and the line, quote, "the bum that got caught stealing from me," that seems to be talking about Michael Cohen. There's a gag order in the case. Is this a violation?
I think it is, but I think what Judge Merchan and the prosecutors are, let's just get through this trial, let the jury deliberate, let's get our verdict. It's clear. What other bum could he be talking about?
Still stealing from me.
And he thinks because he didn't name him, meaning Michael Cohen, that it probably is not a violation. But in my view, it is. But I don't think you're going to hear. You would have heard the prosecutors stand up to. They may not have seen the post, but they now know about it.
And it wasn't brought up before the jury instructions got underway.
And so the fact that it wasn't brought up, what does it tell you, Catherine? Does it tell you that this is pretty much done?
It's, if it was something egregious, for instance, if he says something about the jury, you better believe the prosecutors would be bringing it to the judge's attention. But this was sort of slipped into some long rant that he usually gives.
And Judge, just the other part of that post this morning, I think it's important to address because he has been complaining quite a bit about not being allowed to make the advice of counsel defense. Can you explain what that is and why Judge Merchan said that was not valid in this trial?
Well, the advice of counsel defense is a defense that allows you to say, I relied on my lawyer. But you can't rely on your lawyer if what you're about to do is commit some type of crime. Your lawyer cannot give you illegal advice. And the judge put the lid on this a long time ago, and he continues to raise this. And look at the other things he's raising. Somehow he's implying that it was unfair that the people got to speak for 5 hours, but his lawyer did not. That was something that was agreed upon before. And if his lawyer wanted to speak for 5 hours, why he would want? There were no time limits for either side. Frankly, I wondered why there were no time limits for either side, and I'm sure the jury was probably wondering that too. But be that as it may, these complaints have no merit.
And so right now, inside that courtroom, Juan Merchan has begun giving the jury instructions. And I'm just going to kind of take you in for just a minute, if I could. I will explain, says Juan Merchan, the law, spell out the elements of the alleged crimes. These instructions will take about an hour. So there you go. You will not receive copies of them. You may, the judge is saying, request to have them read back to you as many times as you wish. I will not summarize the evidence. Nothing I have said in the course of the trial is meant to suggest I have an opinion on this case. It is not my responsibility to judge the evidence here. It is yours.
And Judge, we have seen moments where Judge Merchan has come in and objected or sustained objections, right? There was a moment yesterday, and I just wanted to get your take on this, when we heard from Todd Blanche in his closing argument say something to the jury along the lines of, you can't send a person to prison for what Michael Cohen's saying in his lies. I'm paraphrasing there. But the reference to the jury sending Donald Trump to prison if they convict, Judge Merchan came out and said that was an outrageous comment. He instructed the jury after they returned to the courtroom, because that was discussed during a break of some sort. He said that was improper. Do not take that comment and basically scratch it. Why was that such an out of bounds thing for Todd Blanche to say?
Every lawyer knows you are not supposed to suggest to the jury that if they come back with a conviction, somebody is going to jail. It is completely inappropriate. It is the purview of the judge to decide what the appropriate sanction is. And if a lawyer says that, the implication is that they want the jury to feel sorry for the defendant or be reluctant to convict because they don't want to see him go to jail. And frankly, that's something that he admonished. It's my understanding he admonished the defense lawyer outside the presence of the jury. Right. I might have just said, counsel, stop it right now. Lawyers know that's not
proper. You would have
proper.
done that in front of the jury.
I might have, yes.
Yeah. And, Adam, lawyers do know that, but maybe this lawyer thought that it was a cost-benefit analysis that he was willing to take.
I think that's exactly what happens here. He clearly knows that that's an out-of-bounds comment that punishment is the province of the judge, fact-finding for the jury. And yet, to come out and say something like this, I think he knows what he's doing. It drew an objection, as it should. The judge sustained the objection, but the jury has heard that. And it's very hard to undo it. The judge can give a direction, the judge can give an admonishment, but tactically, playing chess here, it's not crazy for him to, as the defense lawyer, to have made a comment like this, knowing that it would draw limited rebuke.
And right now, the judge continues with the jury instructions talking about the evidence. Make sure your decision is based on the evidence. You recall during jury selection to set aside any personal opinions or bias and decide the case fairly on the evidence and the law. You just set aside personal opinions or bias. Final question, Judge Kiesel, for you. As you look at the totality of this trial, your assessment of Judge Merchan and how he's handled it.
I think he was marvelous. I don't know how he managed to hold this together. He knew what kind of comments Donald Trump was making. They were within the bounds of the gag order, of course, but every night he has to have known that he was being called corrupt, conflicted. I find this so upsetting because it goes to the heart of the judiciary, but that's the judicial system. That's another story. He has managed to keep his cool. He has managed to keep this trial going at an amazingly fast pace, if you think about it. And I think at the end of the day, he will come out looking quite well.